Welcome back to my Sew to Sell series where I share with you my process on creating a PDF sewing pattern from scratch. So in last week's video, we talked about the first step, which is drawing in inspiration for your designs. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how you can transform that inspiration into a first-time sketch. So for your sketches, you're going to need some tools. And if you want to use the digital route, I know some popular tools are Procreate, Adobe Illustrate. And if you don't know how to use any of those digital tools, of course, you can learn from individuals here on YouTube. You can dive into platforms like Skillshare or Udemy. There's also LinkedIn courses. I know I have taken a few courses on LinkedIn. However, if you're looking to start right now and you don't necessarily want to take the extra time to learn these tools at this very moment, you can take a shorter route, which is what I did.
And for me, I just used your general hand sketching because I had not yet learned how to use Adobe or Procreate for my designs.
So I just got my paper wet because my hands are wet, but I would use croquet. So I purchased this from someone who actually sold these in PDF forms. And what I would do is I would use a transparent paper, trace over the body, and then draw my design based off my mood board. So I shared with you in last week's video my mood board, and this is kind of the design that I came up with. It's a high-low skirt. I know I wanted ruffles, I know I wanted trim, I wanted a floral design. I'm using an elastic top, and this is basically how I've just been creating my own designs without learning how to use the digital tools.
And if I were to continue down the path with creating and selling my own PDF sewing patterns, I would definitely be learning Adobe Illustrator or Procreate. And something that's really important in this phase is planning for functionality and comfort. For example, when I was doing my random experimentation and just draping on my dress form, after I created this beautiful, I don't know what it was like a shirt, like a cowl neck shirt or something. And as I was removing the muslin from the dress form, I was like, oh shoot, I did not plan on how I'm going to get in and out of my design. So you always have to keep that in mind when you are creating a rough sketch of your design, is how is the person going to get in and out? Is it going to be stretchy? Is it going to be a drawstring? Is it going to be a zipper? Is it going to be buttons? So it sounds so kind of silly when I bring it up now, but I think especially when you're new, this is a common mistake and it can be easily overlooked. So I just wanted to throw that out there right now. So hopefully you keep that in mind as you are creating your first PDF sewing pattern to sell. And then you also want to think, like, say you're doing a skirt, is it gonna be too hard to sit down at a desk in? Can you get in the car in the skirt? There is probably some attire out there that I have personally seen on Selling Sunset where I was like, there's no functionality in that outfit, but sometimes it doesn't matter. And that's where your target audience comes into place. With, we don't talk about too much in this series because that's more of marketing, and maybe that will be another series. But anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there that you do want to think about functionality, like how are you getting in and out of this garment, and comfort levels. And after you completed your sketching and concept development, you then want to choose your materials and construction methods. So what does this mean? That means that you want to choose fabric that work for the design. So for example, I was sharing with you how one of the designs I did was the copycat method, and I saw a shirt at Banana Republic. So I made the mistake of not getting the appropriate fabric or the appropriate linen for that design. And as a consequence, it didn't turn out exactly like the design. For me, one of the simplest examples I can give is if you're thinking of a swimsuit. Most of you have probably seen or touched or worn a swimsuit at some time. And one of the things about a swimsuit is that it's very stretchy. With that being said, you can't really make a swimsuit out of, let's say, a woven fabric, a fabric that is not stretchy. I mean, well, all kinds of bad things will happen if you go into the water with like a linen triangle top.
So the best way to learn about fabrics is to actually physically touch them. Now they do have a fabric swatch book, so I'll put that here on the screen. But if you don't want to buy a book, then I would recommend going to the fabric store, touching all the fabrics, reading what type of fabric it is, looking even in your closet, looking at the label to see again what type of fabric is used for that garment, and this will give you a good understanding of the different types of fabric. So this is another really good book for anyone who's looking to learn more about fashion design in general. And when it comes to fabrics, actually a really good section. I would say it's quite helpful to understand what types of fabrics are good for what types of garment. And it also gives a lot more information about different fabric types as well.
But even beyond choosing the right fabrics, I mean, other materials could include lining, buttons, interfacing, and the list goes on. If you don't have a baseline or working knowledge of fabrics, that's definitely something that you are going to want to educate yourself on, because you would hate to create this beautiful design and then choose the wrong fabric for that design. It just won't be as beautiful as you intended it to be. You'll also want to consider any sewing techniques and or challenges. So for example, when I was telling you about one of the skirts I designed, there were some parts of that skirt that were very challenging because my skills were not where the skirt required me to be at. So for me to finish the sewing pattern of this specific shirt, I would need to acquire the skills for the special techniques that that skirt or that garment is requiring of me. So with all this being said, you don't need a formal degree in fashion design to begin creating and selling your own PDF sewing patterns. However, if you have not realized already, you do need to become self-educated, and particularly in the subjects that I'm sharing in this video and even in the future video. I really hope this video was helping you in creating and selling your first PDF sewing pattern. And next week, I'll be posting a video on prototyping and pattern development, even if you don't know how to draft a pattern. So be sure to subscribe, put the notification bell on so you don't miss the notice on when I publish the next video. All right, guys, see you in the next one. Bye.